Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Radiant Lawcast. I'm your host, Sena, and joining me today is my brilliant colleague all the way from Trinidad, Reshma. How are you doing, Reshma?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming onto the Lawcast.
Sure.
Debut
Mhm.
appearance. Love to see that.
Correct. Yes, this is my first time doing anything like this.
Cool. And this is my first time doing it with part of someone in the Trini team. We're doing this
Okay.
remotely, as you can see, we're doing it via Zoom. So, yeah, hopefully this will be great. But let's dive right into it. Um,
Sure.
You obviously joined us from Trinidad. Radiant, as you know, is a UK law firm. Our
Mm.
biggest office is here in Cape Town, so most of the colleagues are South African. Talk me
Mhm.
through that journey of you joining the firm.
So I should start by saying I was not looking for a job. I was in the middle of my studies. I had exams rolling around and Radiant reached out to me at LinkedIn,
Okay.
just for a chat. So, I mean, my mom always said you should never turn on an interview because you never know what you can learn. So
Okay.
I was open. I was always open to just having a discussion. And after my first discussion, my interest was piqued, just in the sense of there are a few things that stood out to me. You know, the chance to work remotely, the ability to combine technology with legal expertise, which is completely unheard of on this side of the world, at least in my little pocket, and the opportunity to work with just persons like international clients and coworkers as well. So, I mean, it's not something that happens on this side of the world very often, but given COVID, a lot of new doors kind of opened, and this type of remote work was something that you were kind of hearing about. It was like a new development, so it piqued my interest for sure.
Cool. That's awesome to
Mhm.
know. Usually, I think there was a running joke that I think you'd mentioned it at some point that Radiant reached out to you directly, and someone once made a joke
Mhm.
that, "Whoa, I have no idea who these guys are. What if I'm being scammed?" But no, it's brilliant that obviously the opportunity to work remotely is something that I don't think is there that much in Trini, because I think you did mention that
No,
traditional law practice requires you to be in the office. Talk to me
correct.
about what else differs besides the day-to-day you're in office. How else is the Trini law culture different from what you've encountered here at Radiant?
Where do I start? It's like everything. So Trinidad law culture is extremely competitive and it's highly traditional. So you have to be in office. The types of jobs that are available are more or less conventional. So you either go to the route of in-house or litigation. You know, you set up your own practice or you work for someone. So those were the only two things that I knew available to me, unless I really wanted to work elsewhere, which obviously the restriction would be it's jurisdictional. You'd have to be called to the bar in that country in order to practice. But since Radiant, I that has changed completely because I'm practicing in Trinidad. I'm not called to the bar in South Africa or the UK or the States, and I have clients from all of those places. And we engage in, contract preparation, those types of things, the entire contracting process. So that's just one of the things.
Yes, and
Um,
usually if you're coming from a Commonwealth country and we playbook a lot of our
mhm,
positions, it's very
yeah.
easy to, assimilate and adjust and catch up and, get to know, really engage with the terms. You're usually sufficiently qualified to do the work in any event. So that's brilliant to know.
It is, but Radiance is just it's nothing you've ever seen before because there is the radiant way,
Yes.
and then there's the other way, which is the traditional conventional way that you've been taught to operate. So, I mean, everyone is just so friendly. Their nature is just so giving in terms of their ability to share information. You don't get that from, like, if you have to work with a senior, you have to kind of beg them to teach you and to impart their knowledge, while we have complete access to the heads of the company. We can ask them anything, we can Slack them. So it's just a generally friendly nature, which is not something that you're accustomed to as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I've just kind of had to unlearn a lot of things and relearn it the Radiant way. So Style of
Um,
communication is another thing as
yes.
well,
I was
know.
about to say that that's probably one thing
Hmm.
which struck me when I joined, and I trained in South Africa, so I did my articles of clerkship here in Cape Town. The one thing
Right.
that's changed is now the informal style of communicating with clients, right?
Correct.
When I was training, I remember for the most part it would be, "Dear sir, please find forthwith attached here for your perusal." You know, all the big legalese, all the big
Correct.
that we use. And then, I've kind of outgrown that and I realized, no, that's not necessary because half the time clients don't understand what we're saying as lawyers. In fact, I
Right.
actually think most of the time we're just flexing so that they think we're smart. But that's just my own 2 cents. But tell me about how you found growing the team, because I think you were one of the first people to join Radiant when we started recruiting from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, the team has grown now. We've got more members, more
Hmm.
team members in that side of the world. How's that experience been for you, especially seeing the team grow in a way?
It's actually, I'm really proud of that because it shows that we have the ability, they see the potential on this side of the world, and that we're not disappointing any expectations that they may have had just by investing and putting their hopes and dreams in us to support the clients on this side of the world. It kind of shows that we can handle the work, that the standard of work remains consistent, the cross-border operations, it can be successful, and it has been since they've established it. So I think the Trinity team is a shining example really of the fact that it works. You can establish a remote hub somewhere in the Caribbean where you've never met, because when they established it, they'd never met any of us. They were
Yes.
trusting us to work hard, to learn what we had to understand what we needed to, and to really treat clients with respect and be a team player. And I really think that by the team growing to the size that it has in such a short space of time, because it's only been a bit over a year now, and it's more or less doubled from
It
what we
has.
had when we initially started. Yeah. So I'm actually really proud of that. I'm proud of us for showing up and for representing.
And that is a big achievement, if I must say so myself.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
leading a team and recruiting in an entirely new region just to support specific hours and specific clients, that's
Hmm.
that's amazing. I just want to talk specifically about training and developing new team members. How have you found that? Are there any specific methods you've used to help them achieve that common purpose? Because obviously there is a cultural difference to it. I mean, a lot of our
Yeah.
clients are based in the United Kingdom, some of them are based in the US, and
Hmm.
then the lawyers are based in Trini, some are based in South Africa. I think what I found important was kind of getting into the Radiant way and the culture in terms of what our clients need. How have you
Hmm.
found bringing new team members onto that path with you? Has it been a challenge? Has it been exciting? Do you have any thoughts and little nuggets that you can share with us?
I think it's a combination of it's challenging just off the bat. Like you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So you're gonna hit a wall, which is what they tell us all the time. And you have to be okay with hitting that wall every time a process changes or every time you have to encounter a new agreement. So what we really try to do is be relatable because we've been there. I mean, every experience is not going to be the same. The onboarding process was not the same when we entered versus when they came on. So, and some of the things we learned, we had to unlearn and relearn when they came. So we kind of try to let them understand that it's a level playing field. No one is on top, no one is more senior to anyone else, and use us because we have the knowledge, from when we started to when they started. So just use us as best as you can because the information will be completely helpful. So we just really try to be as helpful as possible because we were super grateful. There were no other trainees when we started. So
Yeah.
we had to rely on everyone on the other side of the world to help us, and they didn't disappoint. So we just kind of want to make sure that we pass that mantle on as well, and to kind of upkeep that type of culture, that kind of collaborative and supportive culture.
That's brilliant to know. And I think
Mm,
the one thing that I would have imagined would have been your biggest challenge, just thinking, to myself when you guys first started was, okay, cool, we've got all these new brilliant colleagues that are joining us. But I always thought, how are the cross-border operations going
mm,
to work? Just in terms of one, the cultural differences, the different approaches to legal work, because
mm,
ultimately we've all been it's I mean, you're coming from a Commonwealth nation or English speaking nations, the law will generally from a basis be the same. Like the common law will basically be similar, but just
yeah,
the little things might be different just in terms of how we do things.
yeah.
But I felt, the time zone thing might be a big thing because I think we're 6 hours apart. I'm
Mm.
coming to the end of my day. You're starting your day. How have you found that little challenge, especially because I think the clients you support are within the same time zone, but
Yeah.
just integrating into a firm that's basically almost, I would say, supporting 24-hour time zones. How have you found
Hmm.
that?
It's certainly been quite eye-opening, I will say. I've never had to deal with that because when I wake up on a morning and I went to work, my day is just starting with the rest of my colleagues, but when I wake up, you guys are halfway done with your day already. I have emails waiting for me. So the anxiety levels did spike to a point, but it's just really a matter of finding your rhythm and managing your day as best as you can. You can't compare yourself to your colleagues on the other side of the world because they are fighting tooth and nail to just kind of manage their day as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so you really have to just kind of have an adaptable mindset. You really, really need to just be as open as
Yeah.
you can to all of the change that is happening because you will stumble and fall, but remember nothing grows from comfort. So if it's one thing that I have done at Radiant is I have grown a lot, a whole lot.
That is interesting to know.
Hmm.
But I find it funny how maybe when you start your day, we could be at the exact same time. You could be pouring a cup of coffee and someone else could be pouring a glass of wine. But we work
That
within
has
the same
happened.
company,
That has happened. I've been
achieving
on
the
a
same
call
goal.
with that.
Yes, because it'll be 5 p.m. for us, 5,
Yep.
6, and it'll be midday, 11, mid-morning for you. So
I
it's
mean, once it's
always,
after lunch, I could pour my wine as well.
yes. That's brilliant. So just to wrap up, Reshma, I'm just thinking, what are the three takeaways from your time at Radiant so far, all the amazing and brilliant work that you've done? The three sort of takeaways and lessons that you can leave with us today.
Mm. Well, the first thing, I mean, and this is just me repeating myself, but it really has solidified the concept of growing like out of your comfort zone. Nothing grows from complacency or comfort. You can't stay stagnant, and you really, really have to develop an adaptable mindset because it's like the wild, wild west at Radiant. You really, really do need to keep up with all of the changes that are happening. You really need to keep abreast of the processes at the company because that is what is going to help you along your way and help you meet the client's needs.
Yes,
I'd
and I
say
think
that's the first thing.
the big thing just to touch on your point on the client needs, our
Hmm.
client needs change all the time,
A lot.
especially clients who are in the financial sector, clients who are
Correct.
in the tech sector. There's different things. There's forms of technology rolling out every day. There's different regulations we need to keep abreast with. So I can
Hmm.
understand what you mean by the fast changing environment and have
Correct.
to keep up to and having to keep up. Yeah.
But if there's one thing I will say, it hasn't changed, like the expectation that lawyers need to be like little experts in all of these little pockets of areas, it still hasn't changed. So whether I'm on this side of the world or your side,
Yeah.
that's what we need to be. So we need to like represent.
Yeah.
So the second thing I would say is just I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I'm not restricted by jurisdiction because I have studied away before. I've studied in England and I love the experience. And I do love to network with people from different parts of the world because they just bring such a different perspective. Like they breathe life back into you, not just being exposed to the people in your country because you can only get so far in life with that.
Yeah.
So they just meeting new people and just not being restricted by my borders has helped me grow just as a person as well. And that kind of shows as well that Radiant can be successful, doesn't matter where they set up shop,
Mm.
that the people that they source will be able to manage the changes that are happening, and they will be responsible, and they will show up, and they will represent, and they will put out the caliber of work that the client needs.
It's brilliant. Cool. And then the
And
third aspect?
that change is not bad. I mean, I'm such a creature of habit. I am such a creature of habit. But
Same.
yes. And so change is not always bad. Like something can always, even if something works, it can always be improved. It can always be better. Just because you take A, B, C, D to get there, there can always be a shorter way to get from A to D. And you know, that's okay. Even improving things is how the world works. It's the direction the world is going in now, and you need to be able to adapt in order to keep up with it. And I will say it really does help as well with respect to the impact, the relationship we have with clients, like the style of communication. It's softened. It's not like such a formal interaction any longer. The human element has been included. You know, just something as simple as the opening of an email where we can, instead of saying dear so and so, references made to the matter, caption, all of that extra. You know, we're just getting down to it. Hi, you know, I'm happy to help you.
Yes.
You know, this is how I can.
Okay.
And
And
so
then
they're
they
not,
know that they're talking to a
yeah,
person.
correct. I'm not a robot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the big things I can take away from Radiant is continuous improvement is
Mm-hmm.
big. Like you, I am also a creature of habit. I like I like knowing what I'm doing and being good at what I'm doing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
set and it's standard. And I don't like things that will sort of change my path too much. But I've had to learn over time that look, we have to continuously improve, and that's important.
It's a work in progress. I am still a creature of habit for some things, but it's forced me to be more open to the change and to try and see things from a different perspective, which actually has helped me in my personal life as well, I will say. So improvements all around.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that Radiant's able to contribute positively to the personal aspects as well. But anyway,
Yes.
Reshma, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your little nuggets of wisdom and your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me, Sena.
Cheers. And that's it from us. Please do continue to watch and support our Lawcast. Cheers. Bye.